Thank you. My understanding is that the major reason we have a number of programs is because we have identified a number of groups that we'd like to help. It's not quite clear to me what we mean by duplication. Obviously, a wounded veteran comes in. They're a small business person. They're a male. There are several different things, and obviously they could qualify under several different programs. But it's my understanding, in watching this development now for nearly 20 years, that every time we find a new group that is not being adequately served, we create another program for that group. What do we mean by duplication? Do you have duplicative programs that serve wounded warriors? Or is your duplication the fact that you're serving both a black person, a small business person, and a wounded warrior? It can be all three at one time, can they not? What kind of duplication are we talking about? And if our goal is to service more small businesses, and if we're not confusing them and piling on with this duplication, why is duplication a problem? If we want to cut our costs, but we may also cut what we get done, why is duplication a problem for simply looking out to contact and serve more small business people?
You've asked a set of some very good questions, and that is part of our challenge as an agency in looking at these issues generally, and also with respect to what I'm speaking about today as far as economic development programs. When we talk about, we see that there's overlap, which could lead to potential duplication of services.
But sir, if the duplication simply serves another small business, isn't that what we want to do?
If we have a situation where separate infrastructures are being created, and this is part of when we look forward, when we try to determine what could be some principles that we could apply to when consolidation might be appropriate, is that we're looking at questions such as, are there separate infrastructures in place? And are there so many different programs that aren't harmonized that, to bring up what Representative Hanna just brought up, the idea is, how do you figure out all these different programs? And if it leads to confusion, or if it leads to difficulty in rural areas of figuring out what do we turn to USDA for and what do we turn to SBA for, all those things, we're looking for areas where there could be inefficiencies associated with multiple programs at multiple agencies serving similar interests. But let me make something really clear. When we look at questions such as, let's just take the three counseling and training programs at SBA, we don't view it that somehow there's an efficiency if you eliminate one program and you just say, well, this is how much was appropriated for that program this year. But the types of things we'll look into is that, is there something about delivering the services that can be done more effectively, either through increased collaboration among the three programs and the resource partners, or possibly through certain reductions in the number of programs. We're looking for efficiencies in government and how services are being delivered. So we're looking at those types of questions. And so you're very right. We are reaching out. We're not passing judgment as far as how many resources are allocated toward reaching out to small businesses and different components of small businesses. But the question is the efficiency of that service delivery. That's what we're focusing on.
So you're really focusing on efficiency rather than duplication. If you have duplicate programs, they're simply serving more small businesses. And if both of those programs are efficient, who should care?
And the question becomes, for this committee and for the Congress and for all of us, is to try to look at what demonstration is there that these programs are all efficiently providing services, and to do some comparison. What, if anything, could be gained by combining programs or by expanding collaborative practices in how these programs are carried out in states and localities and in urban and rural areas. So that's really what a major part of our focus. But ultimately, it's a question of efficiency of service delivery in reaching out and serving the needs of small businesses and the needs of what Congress assesses as the priorities in reaching out to serve economic development activity.
One of the other elements of our charter for this hearing was how private efforts can help meet the needs of business. As an example of this kind of question, our kids go out at Halloween and they don't trick or treat. They leave a basket or a bag in the home, and they say, if you'll please put some non-perishable food in this, we'll come back and collect it, and then we're going to make up food baskets for poor people. So we did that. And then the women who were involved in organizing this program called up the Welfare Society, and they said, we'd like to know some poor families. We have these food baskets. The welfare people were indignant. What do you mean poor families, needy families? What do you think we're here for? How private efforts can help. Are we crowding out private efforts by our multiple programs?
I don't have an answer to that question, but when we look at these various programs, we do look for what resources are available. So I'll just take as one example, the work that we've done in the past, looking at programs to help service-disabled veterans start their own businesses. We know that there are state programs, we know there's local programs, we know that there are nonprofits all involved in that activity. And what we're looking for, and what I think the Congress has been looking for, and it's been expressed in legislation, is the idea of how can we allow all those activities to really provide services where veterans know what's available to them to help to start or to grow their small businesses. So what information is out there? How are things being coordinated among various nonprofits, private entities, and government entities? And that's what I think that many of us are looking for.
Yeah, in our desire to be helpful, we may have limited the helpfulness of others, haven't we? Interesting.